Hey, everybody. Welcome to Friday night's after show. It's so good to be with you guys tonight. It's been a busy week and an incredibly busy news day. Hi to LB. How are you, LB?
I'm good.
I was hoping to reveal your new name tonight, but I guess
know.
we're not going to do that. We'll wait.
My
We'll
old
be
name,
patient.
you mean?
We'll do a reveal party next week.
And that's fun. Okay,
Yes.
Let's do that. That'll be great.
Do we have the explosives? We need the explosives.
Oh, I got some sound effects. I don't think I've got explosives. That's what I have.
Wow, look at that. Oh,
amazing.
Apparently not that one.
It's going to dissuade me from making jokes, though. I don't know if we want that.
Well, sort of.
What do we do?
That's a better one.
These guys are so sweet. Right. You are.
Oh, there you go. So, Greg, nice to see you. I haven't seen you in over a week since you exposed my entire life to the planet, and it feels good now. So thank you very much for that. And your show this morning was really fantastic. Everyone should check out the Prevail podcast because it's the 5th anniversary of the Steele dossier, which time flies when you're having so much fun.
Doesn't it? Yeah. It's really something. Yeah.
And so 5 years ago, the Steele dossier came out, and you had this incredible guest today.
Yeah, Arthur Snell, who was a longtime diplomat in the British Foreign Office and was in all sorts of interesting places. He was in Zimbabwe, he was in Yemen, he was in Iraq and Afghanistan. He worked for the counterterrorism desk in London, and now he works at Orbis. He's one of the managing directors at Orbis Business Intelligence, which is, of course, Christopher Steele's outfit there. And so, the podcast covers a lot of different things, British politics and lots of his own experiences. But he did talk about Orbis. And I realized I did not plan this as I was sort of writing the little complimentary piece for this morning that indeed this week, 5 years ago, Chris Steele did, in fact, submit his first intelligence report. So it's been 5 years. And
well, that's better. I thought it was 5 years.
What a crazy 5 years.
We got to see it, but it's only 5 years since he wrote it. Okay, that's a little better.
Mm-hmm.
But it has what a whirlwind it's been since that was revealed. It's you would argue made Donald Trump a one-term president. I would think maybe at least contributed to making him a one-term president.
Well, the one thing that it did for sure is that it gave, when people like me were saying, "Hey, Trump's ties to Russia seem kind of like maybe a red flag a little bit, maybe a red flag with an orange hammer and sickle on him." It gave it some weight, because who am I? I'm just a guy that wrote some books. Who cares? But Christopher Steele was, he was the head of the Russia desk for MI6. Like, that guy knows what he's talking about. So if he says, "Oh my God, there's ties here and they're really concerning," and he goes above and beyond to try to get this document in the hands of John McCain and in the hands of the FBI because he's really worried about a Manchurian candidate being in the White House. That makes it, I think, it moves the window into something that normal people can discuss without being branded as lunatics.
Right.
And I think that he got a lot of things right.
Yeah. Even though
we remained lunatics.
He got a lot of things right. You can go through the details and nitpick, but the overarching summations and assertions in that thing, which were, yes, Russia is attacking our elections. They're trying to fuck with it. Yes, this is done by Putin at his command. Yes, Russia prefers Trump, does not want Hillary to be president, wants Trump to be president. And yes, people very close to Trump working in the campaign do in fact have ties to not only the Russian government, Russian intelligence in the person primarily of Paul Manafort and Konstantin Kilimnik, the Russian intelligence officer specializing in election fuckery. And in the last 5 years, all this stuff has come out. But again, at the time, as Arthur said on the podcast, this was something that people were like, "No, that can't be right," because people didn't know.
Yeah.
I did want to hear about Stone's little fling with Ivanka, but we'll have to.
You mean Steele?
Steele's, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that's your Stone. I mean Steele.
That's okay.
Stone and Ivanka. That would be totally
Don't
weird.
give us that mental picture. Do
Visual.
not give us that one. That's a bad mental picture.
All right, well, I'll give you Steele and Ivanka then. But we'll wait. We'll wait to hear about that maybe another time. I mean, not that he would have known Mr. Snell, but Sir Snell. Sir Snell. Sir Snell.
No, he's not a sir.
Oh, he's not.
No, I don't think so. No,
I thought he was a sir. Okay. thought you were
No.
Mr.
I mean, I don't think so.
Mr.
If he is, he
Snell.
doesn't say.
Maybe I'm confusing him
say.
with the British spy from MI6 that Eric Prince is working with right now. Maybe he's a sir.
Oh.
I think he might be the sir. But we'll get to that a little later on. Greg, you've got a list of things that you want to bring up with us because we've been working and then the news happened. So you've been following things.
I don't know that I've been following things. I went on the Twitter, as you know, people watching this.
Yeah.
I occasionally am on Twitter and I occasionally tweet things. So I was looking at so many crazy things, and crazy people have sort of come out of the woodwork this week, just as trending topics. Mostly, I think, because everybody is so excited to talk about critical race theory, which I don't know. Does that have something to do with horse racing? I'm not really sure. Is this like a gambling thing? We're supposed to figure out which thoroughbred is going to... I don't know what critical race theory is. I don't know if anybody actually knows. I feel like it's just words that they've strung together playing their dipshit Republican Scrabble.
Well, that's what the Republicans are doing with it, but it's coming out of academia from actually some scholars who are saying we need to kind of study this and understand how racism has affected our society in a way of things like redlining districts and not being able to get loans, right? And in a very real and meaningful way throughout our institutions. So that is why General, and I always say,
I don't understand.
Milley, he was standing up for that. Yeah.
Oh, why is that critical race theory? Because where I come from, we call that just history. We don't have to give it a fancy name. That's what fucking happens. So why can't we just...
People are trying to get it into the history books. Like, I think one of the big things that happened and I want to hear your list, but one of the big things that happened from everyone in the last couple of years becoming aware of Tulsa, of like, we weren't taught this. And we were all talking about it. Did you learn this in school? I didn't learn this in school. I remember the chapter after slavery, the reparation, after we had Andrew Jackson in there, and Lincoln got shot. I remember that whole thing that happened in my school. I was brought up in a very red state, and I specifically remember in high school the teachers saying, we're just going to skip these chapters and catch up. And our teachers would have us just skip chapters. So I remember and I remember for that going, I think there's something in here that is important, and going home and talking to my parents about it. And my parents were livid because they're very liberal. They were like, what? And they're screaming at the school. Why are you erasing this history? It's like, we just don't have time. We can't just do it, which may have been a legitimate excuse by the teacher, but I don't know. There was Confederate flags in the hallways in that high school. I think they were just skipping on by.
I had the exact opposite experience. Where I was in South Africa and they were not teaching us. They were teaching us basically the white version of history. And my history teacher said, no, we're going to teach you the real history. And we're going to teach you 2 sets of exams to write. And you're not going to write the ones that are about the real history. So that, Mrs. Price, thank you. She was the person who back then taught me the real history of South Africa, which is, of course, starkly different from the South African, apartheid government's version. And it's very similar to what you're talking about there, LB. There's a whitewashing of our history in education. Yeah. And it's so critical that we get it right to get the future right.
Yep.
So everybody's chiming in now. Yeah. Everybody's chiming in on the comments. This is not something that is taught in high school or elementary school or any other. It's caught like in law schools and stuff. Yeah. Anyway, the point is nobody really knows.
I'm not saying that. No. That's not what I was saying. You were asking why is this coming in, and I'm saying why it's coming in now.
I get it. Now, here are some people that have talked out about this week. Dick Morris talking about critical, and I'm like, he's alive? Yeah. I did not know. I was unaware that he was still breathing. Good on him, I guess, for not being dead. Pat Robertson had something to say about it, today. Again, how is he still alive? I mean, is he?
I'm actually surprised by that one. Yeah,
he's a set piece for The Walking Dead at this point. I don't understand. So we've got that going on. Then we have other people like this Madison Cawthorn guy. Mm-hmm. These are people that I would like to just never hear from them again. Madison Cawthorn has nothing interesting to say. He's a moron. I mean, he is a moron. I don't understand why we have to give him any space at all. Just stop quoting him or talking about it. I don't get it. You know, why is he trending? We get it. He's wrong. And the reason we know that he's wrong is because he's Madison Cawthorn. That's it. You know, the only thing that guy knows how to do is like sexually assault women. And, you know, that's like, I think he majored in that in college. Oh, no, wait, he didn't finish college. Yeah. Never mind. He didn't actually get a degree. Never mind. So, yeah, that's the thing. Okay, there's this guy, J.D. I didn't see this hillbilly eulogy, whatever it's called.
Oh, I can't.
It's a book.
Yeah,
yes.
why? Here's a guy. Just go away. We don't need you anymore. You made your money. Just go away. Okay? You're on the wrong side. That's it. Can we, after this, Nikki Haley chiming in on stuff, pretending she's still relevant. Nikki Haley, until you go on TV and tell us why you resigned when you did right around the Khashoggi murder, we don't want to hear a fucking word you have to say.
But she wears heels. She wears heels. She wanted us to know this week. So she can kick people.
She wears heels because that's what Donald Trump likes. Okay.
He thinks Jared is a hidden genius.
She can kick people with those heels. Yes.
We can't with that one. Yeah. No. Goodbye.
Yeah, you're not. It's maybe a couple of years ago it was a possibility. You were never, Nikki Haley. It's over for you. You're never going to be president, vice president.
Stop trying to make Haley happen.
Okay. You know, Van Jones was talking dumb today. Like, you're friends with Kushner, dude. You're friends with Kushner. Why are you? This is what CNN gives us, these terrible people. And okay, that's the last. There's one more name on my list, and that name is Andrew Giuliani, who
where is he? Oh,
did you not watch the video? He's like his whole video was like this.
Oh, I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
His whole video is the camera's up here. He's in like a parking lot somewhere. To be fair, a slightly nicer parking lot than the one that his father was at Four Seasons Total Landscaping. We'll give credit where it's due. It looked like actually the pediatrician that I once brought my kid in Westchester. Maybe that's where he's hanging out. Does this guy really think he's going to be governor? And
no.
I mean. And here's a little game I should do. I've never done a Twitter quiz. Who's more likely to be governor? Andrew Giuliani in New York or Caitlyn Jenner in California? And can they debate? I mean,
Caitlyn Jenner for sure would be more likely, I think, than Andrew Giuliani. But that would be a great debate. We could host it.
Why do we have to hear this guy?
You're gonna make me cry. Yeah, let's host that debate.
Yeah, let's
I'm
do that.
ready.
This guy. Andrew Giuliani was satirized right after 9/11 by the immortal Chris Farley. And everyone was like, Chris Farley, don't make fun of this kid. Guess what? Chris Farley was right. Kid is bad. He grew up to be a complete fucking asshole. So go and Google that picture of Chris Farley dressed as Andrew Giuliani. And every time he appears, I just tweet that because I don't care. Anyway, I don't want to hear about any of these people anymore. I'm sorry. I've wasted how much time have I wasted?
You've done great. You've not wasted any time.
We're 14 minutes into this, but there's, like I said, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of news, and that's all people that have been trending in the last couple of days for some fucking reason.
I'll let you guys choose the next adventure then. So we've got Mark Milley. I was going to play because we just mentioned Mark Milley, but that's a clip. Or we can go to Rudy Giuliani. So you guys choose your own adventure, Rudy or Milley.
I like Milley. Milley's, he's becoming our spirit animal after the fact. I'm not real pleased with what he did in that Percy Square, but he, the fact that he's on the record in an article now, turning around to point his finger at Stephen Miller and saying, "Shut the fuck up, Stephen." He's a hero now. Folk hero.
So because he's a folk hero now, here's Mark Milley responding to Matt Gates' question indirectly, talking about what's it called again? Critical race theory. Thank you.
Critical race theory.
On the issue of critical race theory, etc., I'll obviously have to get much smarter on whatever the theory is. But I do think it's important, actually, for those of us in uniform to be open-minded and be widely read. And the United States Military Academy is a university. And it is important that we train and we understand. And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it. So what is it that caused thousands of people to assault this building and try to overturn the Constitution of the United States of America? What caused that? I want to find that out. I want to maintain an open mind here, and I do want to analyze it. It's important that we understand that because our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians, they come from the American people. So it is important that the leaders now and in the future do understand it. I've read Mao Zedong. I've read Karl Marx. I've read Lenin. That doesn't make me a communist. So what is wrong with understanding, having some situational understanding about the country for which we are here to defend? And I personally find it offensive that we are accusing the United States military, our general officers, our commissioned, non-commissioned officers, of being, quote, woke or something else because we're studying some theories that are out there. That was started at Harvard Law School years ago, and it proposed that there were laws in the United States, antebellum laws prior to the Civil War.
I don't know. He sounds like a communist to me. I don't know about you guys. I mean,
yeah, people are. You're being sarcastic. Yes, we know Zev so well, so I don't want that to get taken out of. Yeah, Zev's saying the opposite.
He's not. That doesn't sound like a communist.
Yeah,
but there is a thing. Why can the Republican Party spend all this time in the critical race theory, but not spend a second of their time worrying about the question he asked there, which is why thousands of Americans arrived at the Capitol on January the 6th and stormed it, and they refuse to understand that part. They're willing to spend as much time as possible and billions of dollars in the next year to electioneer on this topic of critical race theory, but they're not going to touch.
Okay, it's the same answer. It's the same answer. They're not touching the insurrection. They don't want to know about it because they caused it, and they know they caused it with their propaganda and with their horse shit and their semantics, which are all crafted for them, and this whole psychological warfare that they've been drilling down into the base and expanding out from there. So they don't need to investigate what they created. What they're doing is creating now and spending their time on the next big semantic, which they believe, my interpretation is, the belief is, and the crafting is, to take critical race theory and get their people all up in arms about it and use that as the next big culture war moment around racism that has sort of a thing about it, create mythology around it, make it a big threat for some reason, and push and push and push on it to try to take the House and the Senate in 2022. This is about elections. This is about, getting everybody motivated. And they know the only way they now know how to get anybody motivated is just to lean into cultural divides. And racism for them is the big thing it's their big chip. They play it. So, and their people respond to it. It moves everyone into the part of the brain, the same part of the brain that you saw all those people storming the Capitol. They're all activated in that part of their brain. Mm-hmm. And they're just screaming and yelling and everything's heightened and they're just, look at you traitors. Those new videos are coming out now of what the Capitol Police what was being screamed into their face, which we saw some of, but now we're really seeing it. These people they're gone. Their brains are gone because they've been cooked up. They've been cooked and cooked and cooked. So now the new ingredients to throw into the stew to keep the cooking going is critical race theory. And what Milley did there was he actually pushed on that in such a way and pushed back on it in such a way with such clarity and such focus with all that decoration as a head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, our top guy here, saying this in front of this House committee. And what did they go and run and do? What did Matt Gaetz and the Tucker Carlsons go and run and do? They went and started trashing the military from him on down and saying, we need to win wars. You need to. And now they're going full bore against the military. They're going to weaponize that. They don't care about patriotism. They never have. It's all been horseshit. All of it has been horseshit all along. It's all fake for these people. It's real for us. It's fake for them. They don't care. They're just into power. So they have permission to go after that. And I do believe, I put a tweet out, I do believe this is connected, at least for Tucker's sake, why he went full bore. What did he call him? A pig? He called, oh my God. The
and not
Kremlin
smart,
that was dessert for Putin, who's been pouting since the summit. He's been Mr. Pouty Face, stomping, screaming, yelling, being his little troll self that he is, that horrible, horrible man, the tiny little I'm going to put him at 5'2" now. Every time I talk about Putin, I'm going to make him shorter because he's tiny, that tiny, tiny little internet troll of I don't even know what he is, whatever the hell he is, this mobster, right? Is pouting and pouting and pouting because Tall Joe stood with integrity and faced him down and kind of went in there and said, yeah, no, you're not going to do this anymore. I didn't like the summit happening in the first place. I didn't want Putin to have that stage, but I'm okay with it. I now I'm like, okay, I feel calm about it. You guys helped calm me down. Zev, you really helped calm me down about that. I really appreciate that.
Good.
And so that's what's happening, right? So I think Putin is they have to give him the candy because he's a child and he needs a lollipop because he's only 5'1". So he needs his little lollipop.
He gets to 4 foot. I'm going
to be 4 feet tall. To be it now, I'll still keep him above 5 feet, but barely. To have his little lollipop, thanks to Tucker Carlson, right? Of calling our most decorated guy right now, a pig.
When did it become okay for Fox News to become a Russian propaganda mouthpiece? I mean, not like blatantly. I mean, I know they were in the previous administration supportive of some policies, but now they're blatantly
probably since
on
Rupert
a nightly
Murdoch
basis.
was rolling around with Robert Maxwell. Probably came okay then.
Right, but it's a long time ago. But
Did
yeah,
I say it?
You did say it.
Oh.
But where is this? Why is this okay in our society? I don't know if you've treaded this water before, but it's like this is Russian propaganda praising Putin on the biggest news network we have. I know people like to think it's not news, but it is news, and they're watching it, as news, so it's being received as news, and it's praising Putin nightly.
Yeah,
and it's just not acceptable.
I wonder if at some point they're going to cross the line and this is going to backfire. Like going after the military is pretty brazen, I think, and. Remember that Fox News is shown on a lot of these military bases. What are you going to think if you're on the military base and all of a sudden Tucker Carlson is criticizing the military, which it seems to me, if I'm a soldier there, being told you can't win wars and insulting the general, that isn't something that I would want to hear from that fucking guy with the punchable face that he has. Yeah. And it goes back to the thing, like
we shouldn't say punchable face. That's not nice. Even though he does, I'm just saying we shouldn't say it. I mean,
I'm not advocating it to be punched. I'm just saying that.
Just to be clear, we're not advocating any.
We don't condone violence on this show.
No,
we're just saying, I see that face, and part of me wants to do that, but I don't condone it.
I made that worse.
So, but you did. So, and like with things like healthcare and COVID and this and that, the Republican policies on these things, at some point they're going to fuck over enough people that it's going to, redound against them. One imagines, right? I mean, they can only take away so much stuff, which is what the Republicans are doing actively. They're just trying to take things away. They want to take away the health. They're trying, these governors like Tate Reeves in Mississippi and other benighted governors in other benighted states are taking away the Obamacare provisions. That guy turned down federal funding. I mean, at some point, that hurts Republicans too. Somebody's grandmother's going to die because Tate Reeves did that. And at a certain point, right, don't they have to kind of wake up and understand what's going on? I mean, how much more can this fuckhead in Texas do?
I don't know.
Between the power grid and the the lieutenant governor saying we have to kill old people for the economy. Like, I don't understand. There has to be a point at which even a moderate, like most Republicans traditionally are not the crazies, right?
Well,
once we get all of the moderates,
that doesn't exist anymore. We have to stop saying this is not Republicans. Republicans aren't like this. Whatever we understand, because we're old now. As we're 5 years after the Steele dossier. I mean, I can't even sit there and calculate. This is not what exists anymore. That's gone. It's been gone for a while.
And I know, but most people
pay
attention.
Craig,
they don't pay attention until it affects them personally. That's all I'm saying.
I think even then they're not going to care. They're not going to care. As long as they're being fed something, their brains are so. These people have been the ones that are paying attention. The ones that haven't been paying attention, at some point they're going to be like, because a lot of people are just going on with their lives. They're going to be like, wait a minute, this is horseshit. Yes, I do believe that. But the ones that are so wrapped up in that conservative information bubble, they're in. it doesn't matter as long as what's being, their brains are like plugged into that thing. It's just a siphon and they're just sitting there receiving all that, right? And feeling superior. So as long as they're being fed something that says you are better than this person over here, right? And therefore look down on the other. As long as the other exists for them, and that's what's being pushed at them, they'll sit there without anything left. They'll sit there with a Folger can as their toilet in whatever is their backyard because they've lost their house and they're allowed to have a corner under the tree and still feel great about themselves as a Donald Trump acolyte. That's how bad it is. And I think we have to kind of get ourselves into that space of just going, they're gone. Right. And so we're going to,
I know, but I'm not, look, I think what we're trying to figure out here, what we need to determine is what percentage of the people are gone, because there are plenty of people that are not fine. But I'm just saying there are people that aren't gone. There are people that just don't pay attention, that don't like politics, that do maybe vaguely say, oh, the critical race theory. Oh, Biden is a, whatever bullshit they make up about him. But after a while,
maybe 10 to 15%. That's in that range that he's still considered.
What are the Fox News's ratings? What are their numbers?
Fox News ratings are always going to be strong because they just appeal to a certain demographic.
That's how many are gone.
But you're going to say that 30% of the country is probably gone, but there are 10 to 15% that are still out there that are in the move me zone, and they're being fed critical race theory. So their big concern going into next November is going to be, well, I don't want my kids growing up in a world where they had to be taught all this black stuff. So I'm going to vote with my white colleagues and my white friends, and we'll continue our white. And that's what we're going to fight against. My biggest fear for next year is that we head into the election and we're back where we were last year in a race election. We can't have another race election. Existentially, we're fighting
going to have a race
we
election.
Do not have to always have a race election. They're going to try and make it.
With the Republican Party,
they're going to try and make it one.
Have that.
They're going to try and make it one. But our challenge is really to fight autocracy and to prove that democracy is the best way to go, and not start a war between white and black, because that's not something anyone can win. So we got to keep refocusing on democracy and versus autocracy. And that's one we can win because we just generally will. They're going to keep trying going to race. We got to ignore it, and we got to, just not let them do it, which I think we can do with Biden in the White House. Hey, I want to talk about the news this evening because Donald Trump and his organization, or at least the Trump organization, appears to be on the verge of being indicted for what could be tax fraud, many other things possibly, but tax fraud, it seems like, by the Manhattan, right? District Attorney, I think so.
Yeah, Cy Vance.
So this is big news because, boy, we've been waiting for an indictment and the Trump name to appear in one sentence together, and it appears like this week or next week that is going to exist. However, in my mind, it's not really Donald Trump getting indicted. It's not really Donald Trump Jr. getting indicted. It's probably none of the Trump kids getting indicted.
No. It's Eric.
Is
Eric? Eric is born to be the fall guy, Zev. Eric was put on this earth to go to prison for these fuckers. That's his role.
He's rumored to be
That's
Rudy
why,
Giuliani's
Laura, that's why his
son.
wife is out front and center now. She's out front and center. She's all pretty. How long will Eric Trump be in jail before Donald hits on his wife? I wonder.
I don't even know that we have to wait. I think that's probably happened.
It's already happened?
Wow.
Yeah.
You went there. Meanwhile,
I went there because it's fucking true. These people are awful. They are the scum of the fucking earth. They have no dignity. They have no grace. They have no refinement. They are just ego-driven scum who will stab their own grandmother in the back to make an extra $10. That's who they are. And it's who they always will be.
Sounds like mobsters. Yeah, sounds like a crime family, doesn't it?
Eric and Trump and
crime
Andrew
families
Giuliani
have more loyalty to other members of the family than these people.
Eric Trump and Andrew Giuliani look quite similar to each other, by the way. Sorry, I missed that. I missed the last one, LB.
I said it's a crime family without honor.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah, wow. That's a good way to put it.
And speaking of which, that's why Ivanka and Jared appear to be ghosting Donald right now. I mean, that seems to be the news out of Vanity Fair and elsewhere, that they're ignoring or moving away from their father or father-in-law. I don't know who had the story, but I'm interested to see what you guys think about whether this is actual reality or are they just trying to avoid court time and crime time.
They're trying to. Go ahead.
Ivanka is these two individuals have been living in a fantasy for a long time. They're in a fantasy about who they do business with. They're in a fantasy about the consequences of doing things like taking intelligence out of our intelligence agencies and selling it to bone saw butchers because those are your friends and you can get some business. They're not bright. They are not bright enough to understand, or intelligent enough or insightful enough to understand where lines and boundaries are and definitions. They're just privileged, horrible human beings who came into the world with a very particular paradigm and understanding about why they have wealth and where that wealth comes from. And they believe it comes from their own fabulousness. And so when you're a sycophant to yourself to that degree, they're not going to be able to see. I remember when Jared was told, hey, by intelligence, hey, Wendy Dang, she's Chinese intelligence, be careful with her, from our Secret Service, I believe, or from our intelligence agency. And his response was to laugh. I'm not sure that child has any idea that he's actually been mixing it up with mobsters and spies his entire life. They don't see criminality as criminality. They think it's just doing business. This is how we do business. When you're as big and fabulous as we are, this is how business is really done. So I'm not getting them off the hook, you guys. I'm just saying they don't know where the lines are. They don't know that there are lines. And so they're only going to see anything that's a consequence as a personal persecution of their own fabulousness because everybody's jealous and haters. That's what we're dealing with these people. That is how vapid they are and how stupid they are. And I do believe that both of them will at some point be facing very serious consequences. And I think it's good. This is a criminal. To go after Trump org is to go after the money. You want to take down a crime family? Get the money. Tarnish the brand, which is the name, make it toxic, and take the money. That's what's going on. That's the first move here. That's the smart move. That's the right move. Now everybody's going to be sitting there really shivving one another in the sides, as you said, Greg, probably putting Eric Trump away, because it's going to be now a fight for survival for their fabulousness, not for their freedom. Do you understand? They're going to try to preserve their fortune and their name and their aspirations. They're trying to ghost Donald right now and separate from him because they've realized he's become toxic to their own ambitions. But what they're not bright enough to understand is their criminality is what's actually going to get in the way of their own ambitions. Now, what Jared does have is he has a father and he has a mentor who have been really, really good at surrounding him with some of the best attorneys in the world. So I think Jared's going to have he's actually in a better position than his wife, because she did rely on her family probably a little too much. And her family is they're just idiots. Like, it's just the dumbest goddamn family on the planet. So, but he'll have a lot of protection. And that boy has a lot of cards to play, and he will play them all to try to keep himself and his name and his fabulousness from being attacked by the Justice Department, by the state of New York, by the city of Manhattan in any way, shape, or form.
When it comes down to it, I mean, would he flip on Ivanka? Would he flip on?
Oh, of course.
On Donald? Would he?
Oh, of course. Oh, he's already.
Come on!
Probably has.
In that picture.
Probably has.
These are passionate people and passionate love here. That's why they're together. Yeah. They the wealth and the fame has nothing to do with it. They're not in any way like Shiv and Tom in Succession. They're not at all like that. That's just any similarity is completely
I like Tom.
coincidence.
Yeah,
Everybody likes
Don't
Tom.
compare Jared.
We'll continue all this
Tom.
conversation on the other side of this. We'll be right back after this break. Now that summer is almost here and COVID is almost gone, this may be a good time to get some things off your to-do list, like maybe getting life insurance. My mom is really good with finances, and she's always telling me, what about life insurance? It's so important. And I can tell you that Policy Genius is a great place to get life insurance because you can compare quotes from over a dozen top insurers all in one place. Why compare? Well, you can save as much as 50% or more of life insurance by comparing those quotes, and you could save $1,300 or more per year on life insurance by using Policy Genius to compare those policies for you. The licensed experts at Policy Genius work for you, not the insurance companies, so you can trust them to help you navigate every step of the shopping and buying process. That kind of service has earned Policy Genius a 5-star rating across thousands of reviews on Trustpilot and Google. This is how it works. Getting started is really easy. First, you head to policygenius.com, and in minutes, you can work out how much life insurance coverage you need and compare personalized quotes to find your best price. When you're ready to apply, the Policy Genius team will handle all the paperwork and scheduling for you. Policy Genius never sells your information to other companies, and that means you don't have to worry about your privacy, and they don't add extra fees. Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com to get started right now. Policy Genius. When it comes to insurance, it's nice to get it right. Maybe I was going to say maybe some of the Trumps should check that out, but then I realized that would imply something, and I'm not really trying to imply anything like that. But it's good to have life insurance, and it's great to have sponsors like Policy Genius who are helpful in supporting the show. So please support them. Nice. Yeah, they're very nice people. So should we talk about Rudy some more, because he's also having not the best week, as it turns out. He is.
Oh wait, can we?
Or suspended at least.
We're not gonna close the bow on Jared and Ivanka.
Oh no, you can close the bow. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to make sure we have to keep saying this. Okay, in 2018, I wrote a piece about the crimes of Jared Kushner. This guy is a fucking criminal. Okay, he's committed numerous crimes that we know about. He lied 3 times on his SF-86. Which you're not allowed to do. That's fucking illegal. Every time you lie on it is 5 years in prison. Okay? We keep being like, well, he didn't mean it, blah, 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 blah. And then he goes along and commits worse and worse crimes. He went over to Saudi Arabia and palled around with the bone saw fucking inbred weirdo there, and probably, allegedly, gave him intelligence, like U.S. intelligence, in exchange for magically getting a loan on his own personal fucking family idiot building that he bought in Manhattan. Commercial real estate. Good idea, moron. Okay, right? Then the whole COVID business. We still don't know how much money he was making with that. What happened to the PPE he was hoarding and selling and all this stuff. That needs to be investigated. That guy made it so that people died. 500,000 Americans are dead because of Jared Kushner. If that fucking guy doesn't go to jail, there is no justice left in this country. Period. Full stop. And his stupid bimbo wife, who thinks she's so smart and she's such a great woman. I think she takes advantage of that. I think that the press is really lenient on her. They pull the punches with Ivanka because she's a woman and they don't want to go near her because they don't want to hit her too hard. And guys, journalists whose names rhyme with Kiss Melissa write these glowing portraits of her, hoping that she'll have a cheating affair maybe or something. It's disgusting the way that the press treats this woman because she's a fucking criminal too. That's who these people are. They are criminals. They are scum of the earth. Fucking criminals. But Greg, and every time that somebody writes an article suggesting otherwise, that person, you should never read anything they write again. You should just circle the name and put it in the back of your head saying, this person is a fucking shill for the goddamn PR agency that Jared and Ivanka own. That's who they are. They should never be considered journalists ever again. So there. Okay.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure. I know we all know this. I know we know this, but it's important every time it happens to restate it.
It's a great
These people are scum.
But they're not going to jail. I don't think any of these people are going to jail. And I think that's the reality of where we are.
If Kushner doesn't go to jail, we might as well just
see an
start laundering money now.
Into Jared
there's
Kushner.
There's no more laws in this country.
There is
if
not
that
an investigation.
Fucking guy doesn't go down, it's a joke.
I get you, Greg. But there are no investigations currently underway into Jared Kushner that we're aware of or that anyone's even mentioned. Nothing that we know is happening around Jared Kushner. Nothing's really happening around any individuals in the Trump organization. Just the Trump organization is happening. But no individuals are being investigated around the conspiracy and the insurrection. There's not a single indication that Donald Trump's even being investigated for the insurrection. In fact, Ray says that he's not being investigated. And in fact, Ray himself is so questionable that I don't know if anything is ever going to get through the FBI related to these people. We are not going to see real charges against this family, unfortunately. I don't think. I think they're too rich, too connected.
Put up the signal. We need Batman. We need fucking Batman here.
Oh, yeah.
We need to put these people at Arkham Asylum.
I'm here. What about Batgirl? I'm ready.
Yeah. All right, go for it. They're
going to jail.
Okay. They're going to jail? Really? How do you know that?
Yeah. Because you can't run a criminal enterprise like that for that many years and leave as big of a paper trail as they left for that many years and not go to prison. I'm just sorry. I've looked at too much. It's the crime stuff that's going to get them. It's the fraud that's going to get them. It's the money that's going to get them. It might not be as satisfying as what some people want them to go to jail for. But there's going to be charges. I truly believe that. I truly believe that there will be charges against members of that family that were involved in running that organization. And Donald was, and Weisselberg
but
was.
You know, LB, especially from your work, that like Rudy Giuliani and Donald Trump were involved in crimes as way back in the 80s, right?
Yeah,
none of them have spent a day in jail. None of them has spent a day.
They played some cards. You don't have anybody to flip on when you're the president of the United States. Who are you going to provide information on in order to get out of it?
Who knows?
It doesn't exist. Eric Trump. Okay. All right. Maybe. Okay. Maybe Eric's the hidden.
But you're getting to the point in that space in society where it's just impossible to get to these people. You know, where there's people who don't pay a cent in taxes. They don't care what the rules are. They don't care what the laws are. They spend all their energies flying into space in spaceships. They're not living in the same world that we are. They're not here.
But that's different than these crimes. So I just want to hit again. These are organized crimes. Right. It just is so very different. Now, the really disconcerting thing, even saying all of that, the disconcerting thing to me is that what it appears is if a gangster a criminal does get into the position of president, that the crimes committed to get into that job and the crimes committed while in that job are the Justice Department is always going to push aside because of a memo. That is very concerning. That has nothing to do with what's going on in both the district attorneys in the Southern District of New York. It just doesn't. So they're very different. I hope, I'm not trying to plug my show right now, but in the first season of The World Beneath, I'm going to give you guys some real cases that really went down that are literally a window into what is going on right now. And there were critical, incredible cases. And, and the gangsters that wrote about it in their autobiographies, because they can never stop talking. I have a line that I just wrote recently about they're awfully chatty about their omerta, right? So they're just constantly talking and constantly, weaving lies about themselves and what they were into, and always saying I was wrongly persecuted and it was a setup and I was never this powerful or I was never this big of a criminal. So there's always going to be all those denials around all that, but that doesn't have anything to do with the evidence that gets shown in a courtroom that leads to a conviction. And these convictions, they can go up to 30, 40 years. So it's a lot of time that man is facing for running a criminal operation. He just is. He just is. Sorry. He's going to jail.
There are 500 people in the insurrection who have been charged so far. 500 people. None of them include any people around Donald Trump.
For that.
They won't. None of the people around him.
For that. That's different.
Stone and Flynn and Prince and everybody else probably not going to get charged for it. And so probably we don't know.
I think some of them will, but I do not believe Donald will be charged with anything to do with the insurrection, anything to do with while he was still president and in office. And
neither Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner's not going to get there. Jared Kushner's not going to get prosecuted for being Mr. Coronavirus mass killer. I don't believe that. He's not going to be.
I don't know about that.
He was working at the White House. He was an advisor to the president. He'd have the same protections as the president. So that's
if he made money on the side for his own shit while he was working at the White House, that's espionage, and he should be executed. Sorry. That's the law.
There's a lot of should-haves, and there's also a lot of will it happen.
But it's not. That's not something. The protections of the president. Okay, the legal protections. When you're the president, the reason that you're supposed to be protected is because you're doing the duties of the job. And the theory is the critical president theory is that you wouldn't be in this. You wouldn't be doing the things you're doing unless you were the president, right? So if you bomb a country overseas, if I'm just some guy, I'm not going to bomb Syria, right? So if you're the president, you have to be indemnified for acts that you do as the president under the idea that you're acting in the best interest of the United States. However, bribery is still illegal. It's still illegal to sell secrets for money. Being the president doesn't indemnify that. And certainly being whatever the fuck Jared Kushner was does not indemnify what he did with Khashoggi or what he did giving intelligence to MBS, if in fact he did in exchange for the facilitation of his private business loan. That is absolutely illegal no matter what. I don't know. You may be right, Zev. We may never hear about it.
I mean, it's true, and it's almost 100% true because we can see it. You can see it. You have to be dumb not to see it. But it's not going to get prosecuted, and it's not really provable in that way. Because unless you have, Khashoggi, unless you have MBS showing up in court saying, "Yeah, that's the deal I made with Jared," you're never going to hear about it. You're never going to be able to prove it, and no one around.
Then prosecute him for the. But I think that Jared is not good at covering his tracks. Right.
He has very good attorneys. I just want to keep saying that about Jared. Jared is lawyered to the gills with the best in the world. He is.
Yeah, he is. I mean,
the best in the world who are fucking evil, by the way. Because anybody that would take money from Jared Kushner is a fucking evil motherfucker.
The three of us all agree that we'd love to see all these guys thrown in jail. It's just that it's not. I don't see this particular Justice Department heading into that direction. I mean, maybe they will.
Well, let's see. They're doing some stuff. Maybe they will. It can't be slow is the problem. My problem has always been the silence and the pace because we're in a narrative war and we've never been here before, not like this. And so the Justice Department needs to wake up to actually the attack that they are under and that we are under, and we need them to protect us from. And that means get your wagon a-going. Giddy up, everybody. Get it going and start talking. And it's not about, again, Greg and I have said this constantly. To call for them. And all these other folks are now calling for this. Please talk to us. You got to talk to us. You got to get in front. The Justice Department always, all the time, throughout the history of the Attorney General, has always come forward and spoken to the American people about where they are on significant cases. They don't speak to, it's very different than the FBI talking about whether they've launched an investigation or giving details or compromising it. It's the Attorney General saying, we have indicted these people. We're taking this seriously. We're moving ahead, stuff that's actually out that they do press releases on. You could come and talk to us about the press release because the press release isn't enough. No one's reading the press release. Our press is not covering it. You have to be the advocate. You have to be Merrick Garland needs to be the department's best advocate and mouthpiece because the stuff that relying on our news hosts and the print media to pick up this very important work that's being done at the Justice Department with the Attorney General and put it on the front page and make it so that the public can understand it and know what's happening in the moment and take control of that narrative. Those days are gone too. Those days are gone. The Republican Party of our parents is gone. All these things are gone, and we need to start behaving now in the world that we're in now with everything that we've learned, gaining all these fucking gray hairs that we've all gained in the last 5 years since that goddamn Steele dossier dropped on our heads, right? We just need to live now and move forward from here, instead of hanging on to this stuff that doesn't exist anymore.
Yep.
It just doesn't exist.
Let's move on
and to be fair, Merrick Garland has been talking since
he started talking. Yeah, he started talking.
He must be watching.
Right.
Which good. Please keep doing it. Thank you, and keep doing it.
Fun.
Now, speaking of criminals that are never going to jail, I mean, Rudy Giuliani, here he is, and this is a good opportunity to talk as well about your upcoming serial, which starts on Monday. Is that Monday? Is that correct?
Yeah, it starts on Monday. Well, thank you for being excited. Yeah, so I'll tell everybody how it's going to go, because now I have the dates, because it really is, I'm just writing and creating and producing, and and there's a whole team of people who know what they're doing on the business side of things. So Mondays will be this narrative, the scripted, me doing storytelling. And Thursdays, I'm going to sit down. We call them the sit downs. I'm going to sit down with somebody in our world now that has information and reflection and experiences with the themes and the content, the subject matter of what we were speaking about in the narrative, and will help bridge us to the next Monday's episode. So think of those interviews, those sit downs on Thursdays as this bridge between the written episode and produced episode on Monday and the one that's coming up. It's just sort of filling in the conversation, doing exactly what we've been asking the Justice Department to do. Please talk, keep talking.
That's a
keep
great
explaining
format.
This to everybody.
It's going to be great for everybody.
So it'll be really great. And just so everybody knows, the concept for the show originally, when I set it up with the studio, was it was going to be me telling about 20 minutes of narrative story, and then in would come the person to fill out the other 20 minutes, and we'd have like a 40-minute to an hour show. And then we decided to separate that and give them each their own space, which meant I'm actually doing twice the amount of work for each of them. So, and then it all drops on Monday. The whole thing is done. It's all produced. It's all done. All the interviews have happened. If you subscribe to Apple's sort of, it's like a streaming, but for podcasts, like a Netflix thing where you can get them all at once. You can get it all on Monday if you want to listen to it that way. But it'll also be for everybody on everywhere you get your like where you get this, where you get narrative, where you get Greg's great podcast, Prevail, right, on the Podbeans and the Spotifys, and don't worry about it. It's all going to be there. You just have to get it week by week. So that's
wherever you get your podcasts.
Wherever you get your podcast. Wherever you get your podcast.
I was going to try to find the logo. I was trying to find their logo to put up on the screen here, but I can't. I've got too many images. So don't
worry about it.
We'll just leave Rudy up here.
I do want to let everybody know.
Yeah.
He had coming for him.
Good. I expected
and
you were.
I told everybody. Of course I am. I told everyone last fall when we were starting work on this. That I was working with, I said, they're like, well, where's it all heading? And I was like, straight between Rudy Giuliani's eyes. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah. So not trying to give anything away big. And it's really not in a sense, but we are going to get into who Harold and Leo were. That is Rudy's father and uncle, and who his grandfather was. And take a look at what he was really up to. And this is not spend a lot of time on it, but we're gonna poke at him. Like,
good
what
timing.
Are you up to?
What sure you weren't involved in his disbarment?
I wasn't. And I did predict. I was like, okay, if we do this right, it should happen and drop right about when this guy's going to get disbarred. And literally that right when I was wrapping up the one episode on him yesterday, just doing the finishing, the final polish on it, that news hit. And so everybody involved in producing the show was like, oh my God. And I was like, yeah.
Here's a little retrospective of what Rudy and Donald have been doing over the years and how long their friendship relationship has been. The black and white photos are because they're black and white photos. That's a long time ago when he was still running as a prosecutor at Rudy Giuliani. There's Donald Trump next to him, supporting him all the way, even appearing as a witness at a grand jury. So definitely we're cooking up deals all the way back then. Rudy Giuliani was also Donald Trump was Rudy Giuliani. I can't remember. Donald Trump was Rudy Giuliani's first sponsor, or what do you call it, investor or donor?
Backer,
donor for his
Mm-hmm.
big mayoral campaign that he eventually did win, obviously. And there they are.
Well, and that was Fred's money. That was also Fred's money. So that came out of Fred, which is Genevieve's front money. So everyone needs to understand the crime families behind this. And Rudy's dad and uncle were running a joint for Frank Costello, which is not a little thing. Mm-hmm. Not a little thing in the era that they were. And before that, his grandfather got pulled into the Black Hand, which is a very specific extortionist syndicate out of Italy that were kind of tied in with if you've ever heard about the Mustache Pete's. And so we'll get into all of that.
And then they're all in the parade. I think it's the St. Patrick's Day parade. Yeah. They're in the bottom there. Like, I mean, these guys were close for 40
I think
years
much
now?
longer than we even know. It would have been quite possible that Rudy's dad and Fred knew each other, actually. Right. Everybody.
Yeah, that seems likely. And Netanyahu, weirdly enough, knew Fred Trump as well, which is interesting considering he shows up in so many storylines today. So you've got this, it's a kind of a seminal moment when you've got the Trump organization about to be indicted, and you've got, Rudy Giuliani, once America's mayor, being disbarred or at least suspended before his disbarment. Then you've got a real moment of these guys. Their run has ended. At least it appears to have ended. Even though they've caused a lot of damage along the way, maybe there's some finality to it, even though it might not be the criminal charges we all hoped there would be.
Well, if you're going to go to the mattresses with one another, don't have it be the pillow guys shitty stuffing. And that's I don't know how I would say that.
Well done.
That's good.
That is very
Zev,
good.
you had in the previous graphic it said Rudy Undone, and I was reading it like it was his name, like Rudy Undone.
Undone. It's my favorite new word, undone, because it just feels like all these guys are just, and their storylines and their narratives are all just like flittering away. It's all just a disaster for them now. I'm still surprised they're out in the free world, but it's slowly disappearing. My own personal obsession next week is going to be around the January the 6th. I've been so engrossed in January the 6th. I can't stop investigating what happened that day because it's a rabbit hole.
For you.
Yeah, it's an important rabbit hole, and no one else was investigating it in terms of the Justice Department. It seemed for a while. Now they're starting to move on the big 3 or big 4, which is what I was talking about earlier on. Is Roger Stone, is Michael Flynn, is Alex Jones? Are those guys actually going to get indicted? And I don't know if they ever will be, but the case around them is becoming incredibly interesting. And lately, I've been trapped into another little interesting rabbit hole, which is looking for Michael Flynn. Because even though we know this is all Michael Flynn's operation, he was certainly a part of making it all happen. It's unclear to me where he was that day. Like, no one really knows where he was. He appeared on the 5th. We don't know where he was on the 6th. I know. You do?
UFOs.
UFOs came.
The UFO came and got him.
So I think we know now. I think we're getting closer to understanding exactly what happened on that day regarding Michael Flynn and his, his private army of people. Eric Prince certainly has his Blackwater, and Michael Flynn certainly has his private army. We'll go deep into that with pictures and all sorts of things on Tuesday's show. So that's going to be,
good.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting hour as we look into what Michael Flynn was up to that day. And Michael Flynn leads us to other 2 people we all have to talk about, Eric Prince and Peter Thiel, which we've spoken about recently as being behind Q on last Tuesday's show. That is also coming up. We're going to reveal exactly what they were doing on January the 6th in our future narratives. And that is not the end of the show, but it's the end of the show. Is it at the end of the show?
I know. It's been an hour. I can't believe it.
I know. I can't believe it either.
Did we talk about enough?
No, we've got one more thing to talk about, but mostly...
No, because I wasted all this time talking about critical dumb theory or whatever.
No, we got one more thing. We got one more thing to talk about. We got one more thing, and it's coming up after this. Tonight's show is brought to you by Helix Sleep, and they have a special offer for narrative viewers. I've heard it from so many people. The one thing that's changed since January is their sleep. Not waking up worrying about what the president might have done or said or tweeted makes the world of a difference. I don't think I had a good solid night's sleep in 4 years. And it wasn't only the president. My 10-year-old mattress, which started life as a 12-inch foam mattress, had shrunk to an 8-inch mattress, and getting out of bed was often more of a slide than a bounce. It was time for a new mattress. Helix Sleep has a quiz that takes just 2 minutes to complete and matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. Why would you buy a mattress made for somebody else? Changing the course of a country can take a village. Changing the course of your sleep takes a quiz. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/narrative. That's the way we spell narrative, N-A-R-A-T-I-V. That's helixsleep.com/narrative for up to $200 off and 2 free pillows just for you. So Britney Spears is the last thing we have to talk about, which is actually a weird, surprising thing to end the show with, because we never talk about these things. But as you all know, she has finally come out and said, which many of us suspected, in that her conservatorship was, nothing less short of a slave situation, where she basically has been at the mercy of her father and a bunch of business people in an attempt to control her life, down to the fact whether she could have children, whether she could get married. I mean, we all grew up with Britney Spears, and I mean, it's all very well to laugh at her and her music and all of that, but it is seminal music. It is music that certainly was a soundtrack to many of our younger years, and yet somehow we've allowed it to happen again. Somehow we've allowed the same thing that happened to Michael Jackson, the same thing that happened to Elvis Presley, the same thing that happens to so many people who we love so much. They get trapped in a world of money and control,
ownership,
ownership. They get turned from being talented young people into product that they get carried throughout their lives, and it's impossible to live their life as a product for someone else's business entity. So, I thought it was just worth mentioning Britney tonight, because we all kind of love Britney, and we all do love Britney, and we don't kind of know who she has been for the last 10, 15 years, because she had that incredible breakdown, and she was so bullied by the media. And
I know a little bit.
Yeah. Do you?
I'll share this.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, I do. So I used to live in a neighborhood that one of our close friends and neighbors was their kids played together. Their sons were very close, and she lived very, very nearby. And so I would see her quite a bit and had nice, lovely exchanges with her. And my daughter loved her. She was lovely with my daughter. I had no idea. Our kids were little. I can say what I saw and what I knew is that this was a really, really lovely mother. Her boys love her, and she was wonderful and very humble and very real and just a sweet person.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw. So what all this going around her, and the kids were playing baseball together and, swim in the pool. And, we were all, watching movies, eating popcorn, playing. She played ping pong with my daughter. She was the only adult that would do that. So that's what I saw.
Wow. That's
who
a
I
good
met.
story. And that's
Great
who
mother.
That's
Great
who she
mother.
is. That's who everyone says that she is. There was also someone who got, they took such advantage of her in the situation, and she really does appear to have been bullied through so much.
So.
I can't even believe that stuff is legal. I can't believe you can tell someone
I know.
not to have children.
It was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That was heartbreaking. And I saw a little bit of it. I was so absorbed. I felt bad and everything else. And I caught a little because my friend was going, "Did you see?" I was like, "Oh." Right. And I watched a little, and it was heartbreaking. But I felt like she was a very good advocate. She's a good advocate for herself. Mm-hmm. She just needs to be able to speak for herself, apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
So how is it that we're not allowing people to even speak for themselves for years and years and years at a time? That seems like that needs to be fixed a little bit.
I think so. We have it's this theme of this patriarchy, that you can sort of like control so much of people, and it really is. Its time has come. We need to be able to allow these, especially these talented people that we have in our lives, these incredible singers and artists that we have, need to be able to express themselves without being turned into product, which is basically what you said earlier. I mean, I've done this, I've worked with people like Justin Bieber before, and I remember that day he was being a real prick. He was being he was Justin Bieber having a hissy fit about his girlfriend or something, and I got annoyed with him because, hey, I needed him on stage to do something that we were doing, and I regret that so much because I don't know what this kid was going through. He's this kid who might have been having whatever emotional moment he needed to have in private, he was having in the middle of a business event and a production. And so, we need to like pause around these younger kids, and especially with the obsession around TikTok and the obsession around all this fame, really, because that's what kids grow up being expected to try and become. We really have to be a little bit more mindful of what that does to them. So there's that. A good story on Britney.
What's that? We wish her well.
Yeah.
Wish her well.
We do wish her well.
Yeah.
Come on the show whenever you want,
well.
Britney. We'll give you the best time ever. So
protect Billie Eilish. Protect Billie Eilish, I say.
Yes,
exactly. I
exactly.
know Billie Eilish.
People.
I was going to try.
Stay saying Billie Eilish.
She's a favorite in our house. She's the favorite.
You can't hear this properly, but I'm playing Britney Spears on my phone, so
good.
I was meant to come through the system, but it wasn't.
Oops,
so that's the show for tonight.
Okay.
Any last thoughts, Greg or LB?
No, I just everybody listen to this thing that I'm dumping on the world, and let me know what you think. I hope it's good.
It's going to be
great.
great.
It is good. It's good. I heard the first episode.
Yeah.
You read it to me on the phone, and it was good when you read it to me on the phone. It's not going to be worse now.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. And by the way, a really important thing that everyone has this. So everyone needs to be able to have access to these stories, and you're going to be able to break it open for them and really explain it in a way that only you can. So
thank you.
I'm sure this entire audience is going to be watching and listening, at least.
I appreciate this audience so much. They have just kept me going. You guys have been like so supportive. I'm so grateful. I try to listen to you all. I try to see you all. I try to interact where I can. When I say I love you, I really mean it. I really do. They're so smart. Our audience is so smart.
They really are. They're the best.
And they're on us, and they keep us in check, and and I appreciate that. To me, that's just so valuable. So I hope
Yeah,
I just want to.
You do, but you know who doesn't? Me. I don't care. No, I'm kidding.
Greg doesn't care.
I don't care. The comments tonight have been fantastic, by the way. Even better than usual,
good.
I would say. So thank you guys for all the good comments.
All right, everybody. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. Listen to The World Beneath when it drops on Monday, and we'll see you back here Tuesday night for a special on January the 6th about Michael Flynn. Have a great night. Narrative is funded by viewers like you. Support our independent journalism at patreon.com/narrative. Narrative is funded by viewers like you.